What's going on, guys? We're back at it again, doing our thing, making some shit, in a good way, some good shit. But yeah, let's get in, let's get building, so let's go. So the first thing I had to do was tackle this little area in the middle. No, we could not delete. And I was just going to cover up, but I thought I really want to come up with a cool idea to use this. And I saw the microphone and the radio and a massive tower that basically sends a signal to the whole of the Commonwealth, and thought this would be the perfect place to have the commentator's booth, and he can commentate the battles to the whole Commonwealth, and that's going to draw a lot more people in. So that's exactly what I did. I built a commentator's booth. As there will definitely be hungry deathclaws running around, most likely wanting to eat this guy, I had to make sure he was well protected, so I couldn't just use wood and sheet metal. I had to use something that would protect him. So I used these massive reinforced concrete walls. I had to use the open side ones because he needs to obviously see what's going on. But to combat that, I just made sure I put bars and some bits of wood and whatnot, just to add some more kind of defense and reinforce them kind of windows and open areas. And I even added a fence in the one open one, just to protect him, or at least do my best. Even though this guy is pretty well protected now, I still thought I didn't really have anything that disencouraged beasts to attack this kind of little box. So I added some saw blade traps around it, which would hopefully discourage beasts from running up to it, and hopefully will kind of make them stay away. But that's the best we can do. So there you go. The booth still needed a door, and I wanted something open mesh so you can see out this side still. But obviously it needed to be quite reinforced. So I used this kind of big metal kind of security gate, but I also put a junk fence doorway around it, just to break up the booth a little bit, but also it's got a nice bit of barbed wire going across the top. And that's the booth finished, and stepping back, it looks pretty good. I've managed to break up that kind of concrete block look with the fences and the little traps and whatnot, and it fits the settlement perfectly. It blends in, it's the right colors, it's apocalyptic arena booth right there. People travel from all over to come here, and what do they come here for? A show. We need Hollywood, Broadway, Vegas, we need lights. So that's the next thing I tackled, was the lights. So the first lighting I used were these traffic lights that actually worked, so I placed them around the radio tower. To be honest, I would rather if I could actually sync them all up, but it looks pretty cool how it is. Continuing on with the lighting, I placed a variation of lighting around the arena, trying to stick with the same theme of kind of show lighting. So I used like these track lights, and there's also tinier spotlights, and then there's the massive spotlights as well. I just kind of mixed them up and placed them around because that lighting screams show lighting to me. I hope you can see kind of where I'm coming from with this, but yeah, I just placed it up, mixed it around, made sure I weren't kind of using the same lighting over and over again. And it works, it looks pretty cool. I'm gonna have more lighting within the battle arena as I go along. It's gonna be more kind of fire and stuff. But yeah, this is kind of the start of the lighting, and I hope you like it. I think it looks pretty cool, so let's move on. I kind of overlooked this kind of little area spot kind of thing by here, which is above the crafting or the workbench. But this is a perfect area, obviously, for a guard post, for a guard to be standing here, right above where the beasts come out. So I just dropped in a guard mat straight on top, and the point I'm trying to get at here is sometimes you just need to walk around your build, and then you kind of see stuff that you didn't see before, and you're like, that is perfect for this, and then boom, you chuck it in. And you might have seen me do this kind of in my previous builds, where I randomly do something in an area that is completely away from where I'm building. Basically what I do is I just step back, take a walk around, and be like, oh, I could do this here. And that's a perfect little tip for you guys when you're building, is just kind of have a walk around your builds every now and then and see if you can come up with any new ideas. Moving on, I went back to my commentator's booth. The simple fact is, even though my guy was assigned to this kind of booth area and to the radio tower, he wasn't actually sitting down and using it, and I couldn't work out why. And then I noticed it wasn't actually powered at all, and because I've been using kind of unwired kind of power to power my stuff, I completely forgot about wiring it up. So I simply wired it up and it worked. There you go, so let's move on. Okay, this is the part where I kind of step back, have a little look around like I was saying just previously, and kind of add them kind of little final touches to what I built so far. So the first thing I did was add some beast skulls on top of the kind of beast doorway where they come out, and I also added a human skull on top of the little antenna thing on top, making sure I rotated it so the kind of pole was coming out from the bottom through the eye socket. Even though you're not really going to see this, I know it's there, and that's one of the big thing about my builds, guys, and that's one thing I should say to you as well. You might not feel this, but I feel this. I like to know that it's right, even if you cannot really see it and it doesn't really make a difference. To me, knowing it's right makes the experience of building far more greater, and that's just a little thing I kind of, some of you might get this, some of you might not, but let's just move on. I can't remember what DLC it's from, but you get these really cool light up posters, which I just had to have because it's perfect for this settlement. So I placed the first one just as you come in the doorway and turn to go up the stairs. As I walked up the stairs to go to the other part, I noticed this huge gap, well, it's not really huge, but it's big enough for someone to fall through, gap in the railings. So I just filled that in with a junk fence. While I was patching in the gaps, I noticed the little gap in between the two balcony parts up here. I think this was probably intentional, but I wanted to fill it in anyway because a dead customer is a non-paying customer. So to tackle the gap, I simply chucked in some of the floors from the warehouse section and then chucked down some more boards along the balcony, just kind of break it up. The newly added flooring was just floating, so obviously I had to add some support beams. So the first thing I did was add two kind of small wooden beams that I use place anywhere to kind of change the size and rotate them a little bit, and they worked pretty good, obviously making sure they mixed up and they're slightly different so they just don't look like a repeating texture. And then I added these massive wooden logs or beams. When I jumped down to the walkway to check out how it all looked, I noticed the beam came down straight into the center. So I just simply nudged it over to the side till it was on the edge of the flooring, and it worked out pretty well. People can freely walk down this area now, so all is well. The balcony was missing some railings, and like I said before, dead customers are non-paying customers. So I simply just took two different types of railings, chucked them down next to each other. Very simple, but it's effective. As I was putting up railings and fencing anyway, I continued on by fencing off this area, obviously mixing it up and using different fencing and using boards to cover up them little gaps in the flooring just to kind of make it all work and flow nicely. Okay, going back to why I came over to this area of the castle in the first place, I was placing down them light up posters. And when I come down to this area, I noticed these little kind of bricked up windows which were perfect size for the posters. So I simply placed them inside them. I was having a little bit of a problem getting power to the posters. So while I was looking through them, I actually noticed there was another type which had a light above them that actually lit them rather than them lighting up themselves. So I just simply switched them out, and I have to say they look a little bit better, especially for this area. Then to finish off the second part of this build, I simply added the rest of the fencing to the top lip. And that's it, guys. Part 2 is done, it's a wrap. In the next part we're going to be tackling the spectator stands that are going to be along up here. But for now, thanks for watching, guys, and obviously if you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and goodbye.